I put down over $5,000 on Gamestop and BlackBerry stock, and here is why you should too. Only, and I emphasize the word only, if you have some money to lose. On yesterday's video, I told you how I have made over $1 million marketing iconic websites, magazines, brands, and personalities on Reddit, and how together with the Reddit community, we helped re-elect the first black president during the 2012 presidential campaign, etc., etc. However, what I did not tell you was that by me engaging and communicating and making friends with people who are logged on to Reddit on a regular basis, I have made myself into a better human being. Before I take every step in life, I ask myself, how does that contribute towards the well-being of other people? First off, of course, the well-being of my family. I ensure that I'm not being greedy with every step that I take. And Reddit helped me get stronger with that sentiment. Help me make a stronger effort to say, what can I do to help my family, to help the rest of humanity during this lifetime? For instance, I'm a moderator on Our Futurology, one of the most popular subreddits on reddit.com. Subreddit meaning a category of subreddits, just like our WallStreetBets. I don't get paid for that gig. I simply ensure that people are respectful with each other, that they are not posting comments that only constitute one word, that if they make a point, they substantiate it, potentially, if it's just not a plain fact that everybody knows about. I do that because I'm contributing towards that community, contributing towards the conversation of the development of our future. What is helping us live in a better future, live in a better society, be exposed to better conditions. So that's what I learned on Reddit. That's why one of the rules on Reddit, it's not so much of a rule right now because I actually removed it, but it's something that moderators take into consideration, is that you should not post more than 10% of content that leads to a website or a platform over which you hold control. So you shouldn't post over 10% of the content that you post on Reddit to your own YouTube channel, to your own website. And these are things that I have done in the past. However, I evolved into a human being that found that by contributing, I actually got a better result from Reddit. I learned more from Reddit. I found that there are better ways to use Reddit to be successful financially, emotionally on the Reddit platform. So I take a look at what is the movement behind pumping up the price of GameStop stock. It's against shorts. There are hedge fund managers, big banks, that are trying to take out GameStop. They figure that they will not be able to weather the pandemic, and they're shorting it like crazy. 14,000 full-time employees work at GameStop. In 2019, they reported as much as 42,000 part-time employees. Those people will lose their jobs. Now, I am all about evolving and taking information and adapting and finding what information replaces information that is now outdated, that is not information anymore, doesn't work because now there's a better solution. And evolving, adapting to change. That's why I'm so obsessive about showing you that spreadsheet that I always walk you through during my videos, because I have so many resources. I filled multiple tabs on that spreadsheet with resources for free education. That's probably the most important tab on there. Even more importantly than the grants one. I know that people want the grants because everyone loves free money, and you need this money, especially now to try to weather this pandemic. You're not getting enough help. So the whole movement has grown due to all the conditions that we have encountered during this pandemic, because small businesses, brick and mortar shops, just like GameStop, are not getting the same level of assistance. They're shuttering and they're not coming back. And as I said, I'm all for evolving and saying, all right, listen, now it's time to learn how to market your business online and generate more revenue online. That's what forced me to focus on this YouTube channel. And I've delegated all the work that I have to perform for my clients. However, I've put everything into the YouTube channel because I have to be more digital, less face-to-face, due to the conditions that we are encountering. However, there are people such as these 14,000 full-time employees, up to 42,000 part-time employees, that they will need time to adapt. Everything doesn't happen right away, regardless of all the prospects of free and easy money. There is no free and easy money. My cousin lost like 10 grand on a pyramid scheme one time where they told him that if he put a certain amount of money down, he would get a 10% return or 13% return every month. The dude ended up being called in New York City when he got locked up. The dude that was collecting the money, the baby Murdoch, what's his name again? Bernie Madoff, excuse me, the baby Madoff. And he was taking all kinds of civil employees' money, people that were serving their cities. He was taking their money, their hard-earned money, and they thought, listen, you come to these situations in life, you encounter these types of situations, and you further realize there is no easy money. That's why I told you yesterday, regardless of all the grants that I show you, where you have opportunities, just like what my man Emmanuel won. He won that $500 or essentially a more than $1,000 grant coming from GoFundMe and the people that contributed to his campaign. If you apply for these grants, yes, but I've made all of my money practically. I mean, the grants have helped me weather the pandemic. However, selling my online marketing services, selling something. And why have I done it? I've done it because that has been my way to escape poverty. And that is what lies behind this entire movement. These people with limited means, they are investing what they can to try to save this organization. And Gamestop is a good company because even as a father, sometimes my kids, they request a certain video game. You could buy a used game there pretty expeditiously. And then you could trade it back in, you get some credits back, and the kids get to play it into their board and then give it back without having to resell it on eBay, and you still get some money back. So it's a great place. It should stay open, but all of you who operate brick and mortar shops, you should also stay open or in some shape or form receive the amount of support that you need to weather this pandemic, because it is not over. It is not over. I know what it is to be broke. So I know what it is on the front line, where banks, they generate all this revenue, they have all of this power, they have all this influence to have an app such as Robinhood get shut down and people can't even buy more stock. I face poverty, the lowest form of it in this country. I know what it is to walk the streets with a headache when I was in high school, with some potato chips, a bottle of Tropical Fantasy I used to buy for 50 cents, potentially some Twizzlers or a Sour Power in my stomach, no dinner. Okay, and I go home after all that, probably get bent. For those of you who are not from New York City, meaning drunk and twisted off of a St. Special brew, if I got lucky, if I hustled some money off the street, then I'd be able to buy a beef patty with cocoa bread and go to sleep hungry. Now, I'm rocking this shirt right here because this is designed by my man, Alex Virgil. I went to the Navy with him. He was my man 100 grand in high school. He's still my man 100 grand. He went to the Navy with me, but prior to that, when we were in high school, I used to go back to his house, and his father, may he rest in peace, and his mother, they always had a place for me at their table. So they used to feed me. So I am forever grateful. This is his shirt. He designs it. If I could find where you could probably hop on, so I'm not sure he's still selling them. However, I'll link that in the comment section below. I get no part of that, however. But that is the movement behind this. I know I face poverty firsthand in this country and elsewhere. One time I was so broke. I was so buck. I went practically broke out to Colombia on a standby ticket because my aunt, she works for the airlines. Cost me about $500. I even borrowed that from my mother, and I didn't borrow because I didn't pay her back for it. $500, and I took that plane ticket to Venezuela because there were no trips flying directly into Colombia during Christmas time. Just think of how bonkers that is. Think of how bonkers the airport was. I was in great shape nonetheless because I was working out like 3 hours on a daily basis. So I am at the counter, and my aunt, she's a ticket agent. She knows how to find cheap tickets and all this other stuff. And I'm like, all right, so how else can we go into Colombia if there are no trips flying into Colombia? Let's go through Venezuela. Wow. It was like it is a third world country, but it was like Mad Max. Remember Mad Max? Total cataclysm. We got off in the airport, had like about, conservatively speaking, 20 cab drivers swarm us. Like, Chico, I'll take you. Chamo, I'll take you. And then I had a dilemma of having to convert my dollars into Venezuelan money into bolivares, right? And I told the ticket agent about it. I think it was a cop, and then he referred me to somebody referred me to some guy that was gonna do it next to a phone booth. And the guy's counting the money. He's like, "Come over here," right? A couple of feet away, the military's actually looking at this guy. And they're like trying to look at him, they look at me, and they're looking away. So they were waiting for me to go exchange that money and then lock me up. Because you're not supposed to be doing that. You're supposed to be doing it at an agency. But they were telling me that they could give me more bolivares if I did that. I didn't have any money to take a flight out of Caracas to Barranquilla that same night. So we were going to jump on a bus. One of the buses were too expensive at like 60,000 bolivares, if I'm not mistaken. And then we jumped on another bus, which was a cheaper version. And that would take us as far as Caracas to Maracaibo. And then from there, we had to take another bus. But this was a bonkers bus. The first thing they tell us on this bus, do not pull open the blinds or the curtains, because the last thing you want to do is have to pay for plastic surgery when they break the window. Because the scheme was that stick-up kids would throw rocks at buses. Once they break a window, the bus would stop. Then they would go ahead and stick up the whole bus. And they'd stick up the driver. Who knows what else would happen as a result of that. So if they threw the rock, if you had your curtains spread out, then you wouldn't get splashed, you wouldn't get hit with any of the breaking glass on your face, and you don't have to pay for plastic surgery. We got to Caracas, and it was they kept us, and then we got to another bus. This bus looks like those little decorations that you buy, these souvenirs that you buy in Colombia of these old school buses where they got like chickens on the top and all this other crazy. People start partying on the bus, they're clapping and all this. They stop the bus every 10 minutes asking for money, and then all these people, they didn't even have any papers. The people that were on the bus, they didn't have any documentation, no identification, nothing. So we'd have to come out of our pockets. But I had my documentation. The only problem was my wife, she didn't have her U.S. citizenship at the time. She was a resident of Colombia, so she had to actually request a visa to enter Venezuela. So that caused a problem for me. So they stopped me at one of these places, and at this whole time I'm going crazy. I got like my keys in my hand, like Wolverine. I had the keys sticking out, ready to stab somebody in their neck just in case they tried something. And at the end, I had to pay like $100 to finally cross the border, and it was a complete relief once we got out of Venezuela. It was so crazy. At the bus station, they didn't have the railing that you can hold on to go ahead and walk up the steps with all this luggage that we had to walk up. The steps were all broken up. Mad Max. So I know what it is to encounter poverty. And then when we got to Colombia, check it. I had a couple of dollars. They wouldn't change $1 bills. So people wouldn't even change my money into Colombian pesos so I can get something to eat. Mind you, this was a 2-day drive from Caracas to Maracaibo all the way to Barranquilla. That's where my family's from. And no one would change that money. So I didn't eat anything throughout that evening. I didn't even think I drank anything. I didn't drink any water or anything. We got there. My mother-in-law bought us some chicken. That was like the first meal that I had. I had to sell my Cuban link while I was in Colombia that stayed over there. Heavy link. Now worth maybe like a $10,000 or whatever the case may be. My Movado had to go, broke as a joke, man. So I know what it is to be in a position where you have nothing in your head, because when I came back, I had already, mind you, I had already gone to college. I was awarded an Associates of Arts degree in the Borough of Manhattan Community College. I graduated with honors among the top 2% of their class with a 3.94 GPA. Got a scholarship into NYU, one of the best schools on the planet, into New York University, where I studied communications, then journalism. However, when I got back into the States, I had to actually pawn all my jewelry in order to get back because I didn't have any money at all. My mother told me to pick up her car in Miami. I had to drive it from Miami to New York City. And I'm thinking in the car, like, what can I do to make money? So the first thing that comes to my mind, like I told you in previous videos, you want to find a business idea, go to a third world and see how they make money. First thing that came to mind, let me be a taxi. So I used to stand in front of the supermarket where I lived on a Sunday. Well, actually every day, but Sunday was the best day. That was the day that I would make like about $150 and basically be a taxi for people at the supermarket who didn't have vehicles. I'd undercut other people, or I'd charge the same thing, however, but I was right there, so they didn't have to wait for a cab. So I was hustling throughout that whole time. So I realized, and I was even selling Avon, daughter. That's how bad I had it. Living in a room with the wife, and it got to the breaking point. I had my CDL Class A, as I've told you, from a training grant that I received back in 2003. And I said, you know what? I'm about to go over the road, which means that you have to start driving trucks from state to state. And I thought of that, and my wife was like, give it one more shot. Try to look for that job. Let's see what we can do. Let's give it one more shot. I went ahead and jumped on Craigslist, and I still had some internet marketing skills. I found the opportunity to work with the Learning Annex that was partnering with the Donald Trump organization, and I registered 11,000 attendees. That's why I told you it was the sales job. I had to cold call people in Minnesota, but I said, listen, I got these internet marketing skills. Let's go ahead and put them to work, which is why I tell you, hit that free education tab where I list all these resources where you can learn search engine optimization, online advertising on Google and Facebook. You got the big SEO subreddit. Getting this information. So as I have faced all of these challenges and have been able to resolve them through the acquisition of information, we are in the information age. I know what it is to struggle. I know what it is to face the advantaged as being completely disadvantaged, being to the point where you an utter scrub. Kids in the street are brainwashed because they think that the only way that they can make a good living, I used to think this, is by being a drug dealer, being a stick-up kid. When you start working in the city, however, and you got some knowledge under your belt, the knowledge to which I link you on the spreadsheet, bit.ly/BIZSS21, where you can find it, you open up a whole new world. After I work with the Learning Annex and I help register over 11,000 attendees to the Trump Think Big Expo, then I got a job with the luxury services industry with a private jet charter company. They asked me how much, after I told them all the skills that I've had, I actually had skills developed because I was selling affiliate products online. I was putting up ads every single day, and so I was generating anywhere from $200 to $300 on a weekly basis. It was amazing. I was like, wow, I don't have to go door to door. I've sold Kirby vacuums, $1,000 Kirby vacuums. I sold stock to the Stratosphere casino in Las Vegas, and I wasn't even supposed to do so. It was in in the movies you see as a boiler room, kind of like what happened to the Wolf of Wall Street, but I wasn't making any money. I made my first sale. They only gave me $20. They cut my tie. The tie was probably worth more than $20 that they gave me for it. I sold all these things, and then now, being an affiliate marketer, I was able to just generate revenue, just coming in on autopilot. So I took those skills with only a little bit of skills. I only did that for a few months. And I told these people, listen, this is what I could do. And I'm speaking to people at a C-level, as C-level executives. I'm telling all these C-level executives all this stuff, and they are clueless. They're like, they don't know what the hell I'm talking about. However, they know they need that. So, and it's always been the case. That's why I've had the pleasure of working with the Nielsen Company, with AOL, with the 2012 presidential campaign, with the Department of Defense, the Naval Research Laboratory, because we are in the cutting edge right now of digital marketing, especially right now. See, people are suffering. People are suffering. You're shuttering your doors, all the brick and mortar shops. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it for them because I know what it is to have nothing. I can't say lose anything, but I was born with nothing. My father left me. Understand what I'm saying? My grandfather would have to go to his daughters, my father's siblings, and say, listen, we have to put together like $70 so we can get Neal a coat. While my father's getting robbed by his ex-wife, the lady for whom he left my mother, for $70,000. And he's got front row seats to boxing matches. And I'm broke as a joke in Jamaica, Queens, New York, trying to scrap up scratch from the street. Hanging out with killers, dangerous. One time some dude almost shot me because I said hi to his girl. And you're telling me this is a movement I can't get behind if I have the pleasure to do so? So again, only if you have some money to lose. If you could lose $100, if you could lose $300, go ahead and take a look at our Wall Street bets. These are my people. These are the people that have made me selfless. That's why I give you all these information resources. I don't say you got to join my OnlyFans so I can give you all this stuff. No. All these resources are free for you to use, free for you to go ahead and acquire, learn, and absorb so you can execute and do everything that you need to do to save and feed your families, to ultimately save this country that I love so much. That's why I rep mine, even on the socks of my feet, man. What? That's not even a joke, because all of that struggle that I encountered during those 2 days that I just narrated for you in Venezuela and then in Colombia, that wouldn't have happened here. There would have been a place. When I was in NYU, there were endless buildings that I could walk into and I could find sushi, or I could find all kinds of food. Now I hit these internet marketing conferences, and even during the recessions and the downturns, crazy amount of food. There's food all over the place in this country. They got the food pantries. They don't have that elsewhere. That's why this is the greatest country on the planet. So don't let them manipulate us. This is a war between the haves and the have-nots. And some people got a little money out in Reddit. However, it's nothing in comparison to the billions of dollars that these hedge funds are using to try to execute this brick and mortar shop to cut off 14,000 full-time employees, up to 42,000 part-time employees. You've got to stop it. We've got to stop it. Again, but I am a father, and I understand that each and every one of you have your own responsibilities. So only do it if you have money to lose. And don't take my word for it, of course. If you need to, consult your legal professional, your lawyer, your pastor, your babala, whoever you got to contact, that is going to tell you the information that you need to make the best decision for you. So only if you've got it to lose, because no one knows what's going to happen with it. I could potentially become a millionaire as a result, or maybe make $30,000, or I could just potentially lose all of it. It doesn't matter to me, all right? If I lose the $5,000, whatever, I could afford to lose the $5,000. Let's make this stock market and this country a real democracy, capitalism for all, where we decide who survives and thrives. You call it.